Hey everyone, it's Jason. So today, a little bit different. Like, if you watch my other Magic videos, most of the time I've already opened the packs, which I have. But usually they're themed. So like I've done like Strixhaven, or Eldering, or D&D, or Forgotten Realms. This time it's gonna be a bunch of random stuff. There's a couple of Time Spiral Remastered. I loved the Time Spiral sets, but you go out and try and buy a regular pack of them, and you're gonna go broke. We have some Modern Horizons too, so I wanted to see what was in those. We got War of the Sparks, we got Battlebond, and I have a couple other ones sitting off to the side that, depending on how long this video takes, maybe I'll throw them in and make it a little bit longer video, but those are a couple we're for sure going to do. So, here's Time Spiral Remastered. So what this was is they went back and they took stuff from the Time Spiral block, which is the 3 sets, and we did a relook at them all. They added new, it's like upgraded borders, text, all that stuff. But we did a revisit all the cool cards from that. And what Time Spiral, the plot of the story was, the whole block was essentially, so, Magic Gathering, the first bunch of sets all took place in Dominaria. And you followed like Urza and the Weatherlight and Gerard and all these guys. Then they had the invasion. They like stopped, and then they started going away from Dominaria as a plane, and they went to like Mirrodin, Kamigawa. And they started doing all the different stuff, Guildpact, Ixalan, all the other stuff. Every time they kept jumping to like different ones, occasionally going back. But then eventually they went back to Dominaria Time Spiral. Basically, stuff was collapsing, like the multiverse, things like this. So they had to go back, and some of the other Planeswalkers from the other stories that were created went back, tried to help out, solve this. So we gotta revisit it, and we gotta deal with stuff from past and the future. It was a really unique set. So it plays a lot with like time, which is a thing that cards from like stuff that like represented the future, stuff that represented the past. We'll kind of look at them when we get there. It's a really neat set. So we have Empty the Wardens. I'm sorry, I'm confusing my stories. I just explained was Dominaria, which is a new set that just came out. This set, Time Spiral, it just deals with the past, present, and future. I completely got my stories. They did leave, but when they revisited this set, Dominaria, after a while, they had this, which is one set dealt with the past. The first block dealt with past stuff. The mid set dealt with present stuff. And the third one dealt with, we just call future set, dealt with future cards. Alright, I'm sorry. Wow. When there's like 30, 40 magic sets, it's hard to remember this. Empty the Wardens. Create some Goblin Storm. When you cast a spell, copy it for each spell of the turn. Get a lot of goblins that way. Kabu Primark. This is one of the brand new creature types that haven't been seen for a while. We're going to get a bunch of different keywords on here. If Kicker, lets you pay extra. Convoke, you can tap creatures to make it cheaper. And then if it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 4 1/1 counters on it. The Uborg Cipher Mage, Healing Spell Shaper, discard card. Each other player loses 2 life, you gain life equal this way. The Ubataki Drake. Flying, has Echo. At the beginning of your upkeep, this card came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep. Sacrifice it unless you pay its Echo cost. So it's like a quick 1-cost guy. So at the beginning of your next turn, you sacrifice it or pay more to keep it around. Here's one of them time mechanics we had. Giant Dust Wasp. So this flying has Suspend 4. So you can pay 3 mana and 2 green, so 5 mana to play it. Or you can suspend it for 4 turns. You can pay 2. So rather than cast it from your hand, you can pay the 2, exile it with 4 time counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last one is removed, cast it without paying for its cost. So, upfront 5, or pay 2, but you have to wait 4 extra turns for it. But sometimes it's nice, you just can't afford it right away. Sunlance. Target to non-white creature. Jahora's Time Bug. Target creature you control, target permanent you control, or suspended card you own that permanent or card has a time counter on it, you may remove a time counter from it or put another time counter on it. So this kind of way then you can manipulate that time counter. So you're like, oh, I don't want this out yet. So you can put it back, or you can remove one and get it out a turn early. Dreamscape Artist. Sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them to the battlefield. The Pallid Microdome. That was another thing, I think this is one of them. So, part of the way they treated timing here was also color shifted cards. So, you had cards that were like, this would have been, it's basically a copy of an old green card, but they made it white. They did that, like, they had blue cards that were red, or black cards that are now blue, which is really cool. So, this guy creates green saproling tokens. A Muck Drub. Enters the battlefield, change target, single has Madness. Discard this card. If you discarded this card, discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its Madness cost. Basically, you have playing for cheaper. Our uncommon, we have another one, Grateful Consideration. Draw 4 cards, then discard 3. If it's cast in your main phase, instead, that player draws 4 cards and discards 2. So if you play it during your turn, you get a better effect. But if you play it on somebody else's turn, you get less. Primal Force Mage, Elf Shamming. When another creature enters the battlefield under control, gets +3/+3 till the end of turn. Our rare card is Walk the Aeons with buyback. Sacrifice 3 islands. So you may sacrifice 3 islands in addition to any other cost as you cast the spell. If you do, put this card to your hand as it resolves. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. So this works really great with them time effects. I like suspending different things because you can basically play this card and then you get to play another turn, so suspend costs immediately you remove 1 counter. Then they have old cards, this is really cool. So they took new current cards and they gave them the old border style. So some people maybe have never even really, they probably seen them going through Magic things. If they only buy cards from the store, they haven't seen this is how the old borders used to look. Like white text on white back, just a box, you can see how different the borders and stuff are. They have like the rounded parts, all that. This is what we used to play with kids. This is Restoration Angel. Flying, flash, enters the battlefield. You may exile target non-angel creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. Then we got an Assassinate. And we have a Metal Sliver card. Slivers are a really fun creature type. So this one doesn't obviously have it like listed on here. But slivers basically, they gain the ability of all other slivers. So if you play one and it has flying, great. You play one that has flying and a different one has trample. Now they both have flying trample. I'm sure we'll get to one. Gossamer Phantasms. This is our second pack. So look, speaking of slivers, there's one right there. I think that's Muscle Sliver. I'm correct. I'm probably not. Illusions become target of spell sacrifice. I love when they started making that a thing with illusions. Simian Spirit Guide. Veiling Oddity. Suspend 4. When the last time cards are removed from Veiling Oddity, it is, well as exiled, creatures can't be blocked this turn. The last counter is removed from Veiling Oddity while it's exiled. Creatures can't be blocked this turn. So, it comes into play. That's neat. It comes into play and lets them do stuff. So, Deep Cavern Imp Rebel. I don't believe all these cards are from the original Time Spiral block. I believe they just added cards that worked well with that theming. So I don't remember some of these from the original, but I could be wrong again. Echo discard a card. It's not too bad. Castle Raptors. Get some birds. Seal of Primordium. Sacrifice it. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Any enchantments you just set up to do, use when you need to organize. So there's a tribal enchantment. It's a rebel aura. So like, this is nice. You search for a card that says rebel or does something with rebel. It works with those guys. So Bounding Silence. Prismatic Lens. That split cards, which are really fun. So you have Dead and Gone. So you play this, you get to choose which side you're going to use. So you're going to do 2 damage to target creature, or return target creature to its owner's you don't control to its owner's hand. So you pick which one you want to use. Saltfield Recluse. It's -2. We have Mystical Teachings. Search your library for an instant or card with flash, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Then you can play flashbacks. You may play this card from your graveyard for its cost, then exile it. Paradise Plume. Let's use multicolors. Our rare cards, we have a Tombstalker. 7 or 8 cost demon. Flying with Delve. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting the spell. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting a spell pays for 1. You can exile a lot of cards to get them for cheaper. Our flashback time back card, Dismember. This says Phyrexian mana, which definitely was not around during this time period. Target creature gets -5 because at the end of turn. You serve Phyrexia. Your pieces would be better served Phyrexia elsewhere. Then we have another fun one here, Thick-Skinned Goblin. So you may pay 0 rather than pay the echo cost for permanents you control. Thick-Skinned Goblin gains protection from red till the end of turn. And there's some Llanowar Elves. Alright, so we have our third pack, which has, this is an alt version of Sarah's Angel, if I'm correct. Green Ignis. A Circular Mirror. Yeah, so mirrors weren't in Time Spiral. I don't believe so. But an Artifact Mirror. You can find it on a turn, or you can sacrifice it to draw a card. A Skirk Shaman. Can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or red creatures. Thornwielder Archer. Death and Reach. That's awesome. Deathspore Thallid. Creates sapperling tokens. Rift Bolt. So this is a suspense. This is a sorcery instead of a creature. So this is kind of a gamble. So you play this, deal 3 damage to target creature, or you can suspend it for 1 turn. So you can pay 1, and your next turn you get to play it, but you have to hope there's a target for it. It says you have to play it then. So if for some reason your opponent also doesn't have any creatures, or they have protection, or whatever, you have to target one of yours. Amorous Seekers. Can't be blocked up by white or artifacts. Ancient Grudge. Has a flashback with a green. The timers remind Yavima of the enemies of the past and provides fuel for its fire. Strangling Suit. Like the flashbacks in the alternate colors. Are really fun because that way you get to play multicolored decks. Judge Unworthy. Choose target attacking or blocking creature. Scry 3 to reveal the top card of your library. Does damage equal that card's converted mana cost. Nice. Trample or Tromp the Domains. Just has a domain ability. Until the end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and +1/+1 for each basic land type among the types you control. So if you have just plains, they gain 1. If you have plains and islands, they gain 2. Hopefully you have a forest if you're playing this card. Sulfur Elemental. Split Seconds. This is another one of the time abilities they added. As long as the spell is in a stack, players cannot cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. White creatures gain +1/-1. So Split Seconds were really cool cards because as soon as you played it, it stopped anyone from playing anything to counter against it anymore. Caldrum. This is a white version of Blasterdom. It's a green card. Shroud can't be a card of spells or abilities. So now they use hexproof, which means opponents can't target you. But the original used to be Shroud. Nobody could target them. And then Vanishing enters the battlefield with 4 time counters on it. And this isn't even a new one they made for Time Spiral. This is an old ability they brought back, which is really cool. Beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from it. When the last one is removed, sacrifice it. So basically, you play these cards, and they're like vanishing cards. It's a really cool effect. Because you play them, they last X number of turns, then they go away. We have a Lotus Bloom. And if you're familiar with Magic, this is a version of Black Lotus. Which is one of the most rarest cards ever. This isn't obviously the rare card. This is the Time Spiral version. So it says to spend 3, you can pay 0. So pay 0 to play this card. Wait 3 turns, put it into play. Sacrifice Lotus Bloom, add 3 mana of any one color. So it's a one-time use, but it's free. You wait 3 turns, you get 3 mana for free. But once you get it, you can play it whenever you need it. Here we have Old School Silence. Target opponents can't cast spells this turn. And we have a Sapperling token. Alright, so that's what we had for that. So before we jump into Modern Horizon, let's look at War of the Sparks. This is one of my other sets I thought was really cool. Because it added a bunch of Planeswalkers. So this had to do with a battle of all these different Planeswalkers fighting, so they needed more, so they activated a bunch of Planeswalker sparks from around the multiverse, and brought a bunch of characters in, which also added a cool element for the lore, because now it's like, oh, now we got all these new characters that we've never heard of, and they might be from worlds we haven't been to, so then you're like, I can't wait to go to that world. So we have Raging Crunch, Gideon's Sacrifice with Liliana, Tarifi's Time Twist, who's the original mage from Dominaria, Charity Extractor, a knight stealing money from you, Crunch Wrangler, Davros Shadowfuge. Target player discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. Wanderer's Strike. Exile target creature, then proliferate. Choose a number of permanents, and players give each them another counter of the kind they already have. Yeah, proliferate was a crazy ability. Relentless Advance. Amass 3. Put 3+1/+1 counters on any army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army first. I think this started in Amatet. Enforcer Griffin. Jaya's Greeting. He's Jaya Ballard. She's also from Old School Magic. Does 3 damage to target creature. Scry 1. Johnny's Pridemate. Been around forever. Emergence Zone. Sacrifice Emergence Zone. You cast a spell as though they had flash. Opened over the chamber of the guild pack, reducing the symbol of Ravnica's enduring rubble. So this is also kind of, this set was sort of like a nostalgic other thing for me, because when I super got into Magic, it was right when Invasion started, which is the sort of the end of the original Dominaria sets. I was into it before that, but that's what got me solidly hooked. It was the multicolor, that. But it's also cool because in the Invasion block, you had Invasion, Apocalypse, and why can't I remember the third one? But that was awesome because you had colors that mixed together. It was, before it's kind of like, I'm playing the green creatures, I'm playing these guys. And start adding more and more of this lore of, like, this is a war, all the different colors, all the different, like, the zombies from the Black Uward swamps had to work with the Llanowar elves, who were working with the Benelish white soldiers, and kind of everyone teaming up to fight the Phyrexians, which were this big bad evil, coming from Wrath. And that's what I really liked. It was like that cool story element. This set kind of mimics that again, because now instead of it being everyone fighting for their plane, that one current plane, it's like a multiversal invasion. with Nikola Bolas. You can see him in the background there, his thing. Trying to bring stuff from Amatec and these zombies and all this stuff to come and do to Ravnica and destroy stuff. So all the other Planeswalkers who are forming the guild pack, they're bringing other people from other, not just other colors, but other planes, and they're being like, we have to work together as like a multi-planar verse or whatever to win. And that's what I really like. It was that kind of like harkening back to that set. So here's every one of these War of the Spark had a single Planeswalker card, at least, guaranteed. But they weren't as cost expensive or as good, necessarily as good as the regular Planeswalkers, because they usually had their loyalty, but they had usually one ability. And then they had like a static ability. So we have Ashok the Dreamrender, who says, spells and abilities your opponent control can't cause their controller to search their library. When target player puts 4 cards on their library into the graveyard, getting exiles in opponent's graveyard. So you can't gain loyalty counters with him, you can just spend them. So basically, you play him, spend the stuff, he's out. But yeah, it was really fun because you got a bunch of other new characters you could get, or cheaper versions of some older characters. Here we have Role Reversal. Exchange control two target permanents that share a permanent type. Unho of the Wise, Scandalized Sphinx Society, hooting and answering rails as he rampaged through King Street. Grangle, on the other hand, sat for hours deep in thought, largely ignored by fellow goblins. So the Sphinx traded spots with the goblin, which is kind of funny. There, and we have a zombie warrior. And you can read about Ravnica and the War of the Spark. Alright, so that's our Ravnica set. And we're going to look at Battlebond, which is a really fun set that came out. This is a draft set. Or largely a draft set. So I had a bunch of interesting things. So, and these aren't in rarity order right away. It looks kind of opposite. So we have our mythic rare I got right away. The Arena Rector. When it dies, you may search your library for a Planeswalker card, put it into the battlefield, shuffle your library. Gravona Horror. Enters the battlefield, return target permanent to its owner's hand. That player discards a card. An Assassin Strike. Destroy target creature, its controller discards a card. A Beast Within. Destroy permanent, create a 3/3 beast. Sickle Dancer. If your team... Okay, so this is interesting. Sickle Dancer, if your team controls another warrior, just +1/+1. So this is so you could Battlebond, had to go if you could form teams with other players. Tandem Tactics. A target creature gain +1, you gain 2 life. Aura Champion. Another Aura Champion. When Aura Champion attacks, if your team controls another warrior, tap target creature. We have an Assassinate. Wandering Wolf. Power less than this, do not block it. Stadium Vendors. Stadium Vendor enters play, choose a player. That player has 2 mana of any color they choose. So again, working with that team aspect. Elvish Visionary, get draw a card. Negate, counter target non-creature spell. Cracking Hatchling. And a Stone Golem. So nothing super special in that one for what the set was. But, you know, that's what you get sometimes. Alright, then we're going to look at some Modern Horizon 2. So, Modern is, if you're playing Magic, or Standard, which is usually, like, I believe the last 4 sets that are out. Modern is then, like, the last, I don't know the exact number, but it's like, let's say it's the last, like, 8 sets or so. And it's a way for when you're playing tournaments, or playing competition, stuff like that. People limit their cards. People that play Standard, are people that are currently only collecting the newest sets that are out. People that play Modern, they get more leeway to can play some past sets, and then there's, I believe if it's still called Legacy, which is where you can use any card from any sets. So people like they just play casually. Lots of times they just play Legacy because they can use all the stuff they amassed. But people who like tournaments, they want to keep the fresh cards, that keep rotating, updating their decks. So the Modern sets they come out with, these Modern Horizons, things like that, they're basically like some of the best cards or cool cards they have from these previous sets that like someone's like, I'd like to play some of them. I don't want to run back and have to spend $10 per pack for these old ones. So you can buy something like this. We have an art card. They're kind of neat, but there's 81 of these, so I never try and collect all of them. A land. So we're going to get Ethereum Spinner. When you cast a spell with an ally of 4 or greater, create a 1/1 Thropper artifact token. Got some Bottle Golems. These are lots of classic cards that are coming back, new artworks and stuff. I love Bottle Golems. When it dies, you gain life equal to its power. Squirrel Sanctuary, and some of these might be new, because I don't ever remember this one from before, but I could be wrong. Squirrel Sanctuary enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green squirrel token. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may pay 1. If you do, return Squirrel Sanctuary to its owner's hand. So you pay 1, you get a squirrel token. When a non-token dies, you can pay 1 to put it back in your hand. You can pay 1 to put it back out. You can keep recycling. But if we needed some more squirrels, we have Ravenous Squirrel. Costs 1 green or 1 black. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact or a creature, put a 1/1 counter on Ravenous Squirrel. Sacrifice an artifact or creature, gain 1 life, and draw a card. Nope, no monsters in the forest. Nothing but squirrels. So this works well with that other card even too, because you could keep killing stuff and then bring the other one. We have another squirrel. There's Squirrel Sovereign. Other squirrels get +1/+1. Squirrel Noble. We have a Tree Folk. So Scurry Oak. This is gonna work. This is kind of a very themed pack. Tree Folk. Evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So if you play bigger cards, it's going to keep getting better. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 squirrel token. And then our rare card, we're going to get a bunch of rares in this. That's part of the thing in Modern Horizon. They cost a little bit more, but you get more rares. So we have Ignoble Hierarch, Goblin Shaman, Exalted. When a creature you control attacks alone, creatures get +1/+1, and you can add 3 different colors of mana. This guy is just awesome by himself. Doesn't have any attack to begin with. But if you decide to attack by himself, yeah, you get that bonus. I love these cards that came out, the Saga Cards. This is actually Enchantment Land, which is definitely different. So this is Urza Saga. So after your Saga display, during your draw step, add a lore counter. After sacrifice, after 3. So starts out, you get +1 colorless mana. Urza Saga lets use artifacts. So step 2 gains. Pay 2, create a 0/0 colorless construct with this creature gets 1/1 for each artifact you control. So if you already have a bunch, you can gain a bunch more. Or get pretty big. And then 3, search your library for an artifact card with a mana cost of 0 or 1, put it in the battlefield, then shuffle. Because it's a land, it's free to play. We have Wandering, Incarnation, Flying. As long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. Love those. Here's one that looks like old school art, which is something they've done in a couple of sets. We saw in Time Spiral. Blacksmith Skill. Target permanent gains hexproof and indestructible to the end of turn. An artifact creature gains +2/+2. We have a foil, which is actually funny because this is just kind of like foil random. So we get a Dry Keeper, or Gray Keeper. Entry battlefield, create 2/1/1 green scroll tokens. Scrolls you control gain +1 in Menace. He gave the scrolls Acorn, and he gave him Vengeance. And then a treasure token. Just the fact that we got a squirrel character with the rare, or the foil, is pretty crazy. Alright, so here's our second Modern Horizons. There's some cool artwork there. And that is the Mist Vault Bridge. Swamp, and we got Lens Splitter. Affinity for artifacts. Costs 1 less for each artifact you control. Lens Splitter deals 5 damage to attacking or blocking creature. There's our Blacksmith card. So there you can actually see we just had that one. It's the same artwork, just there's a difference in the thing, you know. Pretty cool. So here, playing with a bunch of artifact stuff. So you have Tomadur's Crypt Keep. And I think they made these themed, kind of like they do these 12 card packs are now usually themed. Just all about, first one had lots of stuff with scrolls, this had lots of stuff with artifacts. It's kind of nice when you buy these versus draft packs, because in that way, if like, oh, I want to play stuff to get stuff for a constructed deck, not getting a bunch of random cards. We're drafting, you buy cards meant for draft packs, you're taking them and you get a pick through one pack, then the next pack, so you're kind of theming your deck anyhow. Torment's Crypt Keep. Golem, sacrifice, exile all cards in target player graveyard. Tavern Scoundrel, whenever you when a coin flip, create 2 treasure tokens, which are artifact cards. Sacrifice another permanent to flip a coin. And we have a split card, Said and Done. You can kind of see the set, like I just did the Time Spiral one. This also has lots of stuff that like throwback to past type stuff. Turn target instant or sorcery from your hand to your graveyard, or tap up to 2 target creatures if creatures don't untap during their next turn. Oh, we got another one right back. We have Fast and Furious. Discard a card, then draw 2 cards. Or Furious deals 3 damage to each creature without flying. And then we're going to get a red card, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Surveil 1. With the top card of your library, you may put that card into your graveyard. So how's that different than Scrying? Because Scrying lets you look at the top number of cards in your deck. You can put them on the top or the bottom. Survey is generally worse because you have to put it... Oh, you put it in your graveyard. There, that's the difference. Okay, so Scry lets you look at it and you can put it back on the top or the bottom of your deck, so you kind of stack your deck. Surveil lets you just get rid of it if you don't want it. Delirium, as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, Dragon's Rage gets +2/+2 flying attacks. So that's why you can discard to do that effect. Rishton Dockhand, Island Walk. Creature can't be blocked as long as the defending player controls an island. And tap target land. Seal of Removal. Sacrifice Seal of Removal, return target owner to its permanent hand. It's funny because we had the green one in the Time Spiral set. Galvanic Relay. Exile the top card of your library. During your next turn, you may play that card. Has Storm. We get a foil Glint Creeper, who has Converge. Enters the battlefield with 2/1/1 counters for each color of mana spent to cast it. Can't be blocked with creatures of power of 2 or less. And we got a Belfry Spirit, which has Haunt, which I love that mechanic. Creature dies, exile it, haunting target creature. Enters the battlefield, or a creature it haunts dies, create 2 1/1 black bat creature tokens. Alright, do I want to go through one more other pack? you know what? Let's go through. We had stuff for War of the Sparks. Let's go through in a monk set. I have some of the setup for the War of the Sparks stuff. This is the Egyptian theme set, which is really cool. Hieroglyphic Illumination. Draw 2 cards as cycling. Discard it to draw a card. Card Touch of Zeal. Enchantment. Enchant creature you control. Enters the battlefield. Target creature can't block this turn. But enchanted creature gets +1/+1 in haste. Benefactor of Ranas. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put creature and or enchantment from among them into your hand. Put the rest in your graveyard. Mizak Mummy. Zombie Jackal. Enters the battlefield. Each player discards a card. Orasha Kavir. I'm gonna stop. Yeah. Sacrifice them. Search your library for a basic land. Put it in the battlefield. Tap and then shuffle your library. Electrify, does 4 damage to target creature. Painful Lesson, draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Slitherblade, a Naga rogue. Slitherblade can't be blocked. I love how they have Nagas and Snakes, 2 separate types. Ortex Name, zombies you control gain +1/+2, or +2/+1 till the end of turn. Other creatures gain +1/+1. Gustwalker. Human Wizard. You may exert Gustwalker and as it attacks. When you do, it gets +1/+1 in flying. An exert creature won't untap during the next untap step. Ooh, that's a really neat effect. Here we have an interesting split card. So it's Onward. So the other ones are like this and that. It's like so Fast and Furious, Done and Gone, up and down. I don't know if that's one of the cards, but they're this. So this is a different. So it's Onward to Victory. So it kind of like one kind of leads into the other. So it's Onward says instant. Target creature gains X attack till the end of turn. X is its power. And then Victory says Aftermath. Cast a spell only from your graveyard, then exile. Target creature gains double strike till the end of turn. So the other ones is you're choosing. They're either and or stick, do or die, fast or furious. So you're picking one or the other. This one, you're supposed to, you essentially are playing Onward, and then once that's in your graveyard, now you're playing so it's Onward to Victory. So this is kind of a neat way to do that. By Force, strike target X artifacts. Weaver of Currents, Naga Druid. Add 2 double colorless mana to your pool. Scattered Groves, dual land, cycle. And a Glyph Keeper, a Zombie Sphinx. It's a token. When it becomes target of a spell or ability for the first time, counter it. Alright, I think we'll do another couple here. We got a little bit of time. We're going to do 2 core packs. We have 19, and we'll do 20. We've been looking at cards from the past. They're super powerful and everything. So let's look at some of the basic cards. Revitalize. Gain 3 life, draw a card. Giant Spider. Probably seen him a bazillion times. Essence Scatter. Counter target creature spell. Catalyst Elemental. Witch's Crest. Destroy creature, gain 3 life. Inspired Charge. +2 attack, 1 defense. Orcrest Swiftclaw. It's a cat warrior. Crash Through. Creatures you control gain trample to the end of turn. Hilarious that you have to explain what trample is. I get it, it's a core set, but it's just so funny. It's just such a staple word. Bristling Boar can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Daybreak Champion, just a lifelinker. Declared Dominance. Fiery Finish deals 7 damage to target creature. Stitcher Supply, so this is one of our uncommons here. 1 cost zombie says enters the battlefield or dies, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Rare card, we have Dark Glower Oracle. Sacrifice creature, exile top card of your library, may play that card this turn. Dual land and a Goblin. And I also had, because I must have bought this from some sort of special pack, we have 2 promo cards. So you have Gargos, the Vicious Watcher. It's a legendary Hydra. Hydra spells you cast 4 or less to cast. Nice. Hydras are expensive. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, Gargos fights up to 1 target creature you don't. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, he fights up to... Oh, okay, so if someone targets you, he automatically fights them. And then we also got the Beast Whisperer, Elf Druid. Whenever you cast a creature, draw a card. The 2 different, like, promo cards. Alright, then we have, finally, the last one we'll do is Core Set 2020. Inspired Charge, which is in the same one. Moment of Heroism, Barony Vampire. Battalion Foot Soldiers. Enters a place, search your library for any number of cards named Battalion Foot Soldiers, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your library. Destructive Digger. I love digging. It gives me lots of time to think about how much I love digging. Oh boy, goblins. Convolute. Counter spell unless they pay 4. Murder. Stone Golem. Vorst Claw. Lots of generic cards in these sets. Corpse Knight. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. Portal of Sanctuary. Turn target creature you control and each aura attached to its owner's hand. Activate only during your turn. We got a Planeswalker, though. We have Chandra. Novice Pyromancer. So this is when she was a teenager. Elementals you control gain +2 attack, or -1 gain 2 red mana, or -2 deals 2 damage to target creature. What's really cool about this, because it's a 5 cost, you can use her big abilities right off the bat and not take her out. Our rare card is we have Delph Digger's Cage. Creatures in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from the graveyard or libraries. Best bury them right. We don't want any gruesome encores. That's a nice stopping card. It costs 1. Dual land. We have a wolf token. And then our final one here is a spoil, is a Salvager of Ruins. Sacrifice Salvager of Ruins, choose a permanent in target graveyard that is put there from the battlefield, return it to your hand, which would be stopped by that other card. Alright, so that was Core Set, bunch of other random stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you later. Bye.